And we are live.
Hello. Here we are outside of beautiful Histroic Memorial Coliseum, where you guys don't care about what the score is. You care about what Jaylen Lowe's shoulder is doing and how he is doing after a very unfortunate slip, fall, bang play collision with Mo Diabate. Very unfortunate after what had been a pretty lively scrimmage between the blue and white here. Update from Mark Pope, Zack Geoghegan.
We haven't seen him. No, it was a we'll know more tomorrow. Essentially, not you're probably not going to figure that out within an hour after the injury. But do we want to say what Dr. Mike said? Is that kind of
absolutely?
So Dr. Michael Wong, he's a physician, KSR's photographer. He came over to us and said he heard Jaylen Lowe say it popped, and I think Phoenix heard that as well. Mario heard that. A lot of people heard him actually say that. And then I think Dr. Mike said it, like, if that's a first-time dislocated shoulder for someone like Jaylen Lowe, 3 to 4 week-ish recovery period, and then worst-case scenario, maybe surgery. So, there's a lot of, speculation that we'll be doing now. This is all just talk, though. Mark Pope will have more information tomorrow. Hopefully we get to talk to him before the Purdue exhibition. Maybe we can get a little bit more information out of him then. But as of right now, that's just kind of where we are right now. So no one has any idea. Let's just be clear about that, about what actually is the issue with Jaylen Lowe. He could be back tomorrow, getting up shots in Memorial, by 8 a.m. So we'll wait and see. But it definitely was to say it sucked the life out of the building would be an understatement.
Yeah, so you watch him, it's a bang play with Mo Diabate. They're both kind of crashing for the ball. You see him immediately start writhing in pain. Just, reaches for his shoulder like, oh, crap, that's not good. That really clearly hurts. And then we hear the popped out verbiage. Training staff comes over, and I watch them pop it back into place, so can confirm that it is definitely a pop shoulder. But the recovery definitely still very much up in the air. It's very unfortunate because Jaylen was the best player on the floor up to that point. Jaylen was playing really, really well, finished with a team-high 9 points, shot it well, hit a really deep three, and just had just this level of control and pace for the offense that you could tell that he's the guy, and he felt very comfortable in his own skin in that role. So it kind of feels tough talking about how good he was because we're knowing what Kentucky will then be missing if he does have to miss in a period of time. Jacob, anything to the sat him out of precaution verbiage from Mark Pope? Did that kind of stick out at you at all? And then we also asked Jasper Johnson how he would thrive in that role, how comfortable he is in that role if it is an extended absence, if you want to touch on both of those things.
Yeah, I don't really think too much about the sat him out of precaution thing because I think that's just what you have to say in this situation where you don't have that much information off the bat, and that's all you can really say. And then as far as Jasper, and I just kind of want to touch on all these guards. I think that, I've already seen on our message board people talking about how maybe Pope didn't prepare this roster well, only having a lack of depth at point guard. But I think that the way the roster is constructed, you're almost giving yourself some flexibility with guys that can step into multiple positions in the guard spots, so that when you have an injury like this, you can have guys like Denzel, Colin, Jasper all step into that lead guard role. And if a different guy, and Reese Potter, of course, Brandon Garrison, all of those guys. So I think he gave himself flexibility in that aspect where if it were a different position that was injured, you can have guys shift over. And so I'm not as worried. Obviously, I'm concerned about the injury, but I think that with the rest of the team, they can fill that role.
Let's keep in mind the season opener is still 3 weeks away. Three full weeks away, or maybe a little bit less than that. So there's plenty of time still. The exhibition stinks, though, if he does miss those.
But we're not going to see him heads up against, the other All-American, the, superstar, the guy that, Kentucky was kind of sitting at the edge of their seat wanting if Braden Smith was going to enter the transfer portal this offseason. You're going up against, on paper, the best point guard in college basketball. And now, Jaylen was kind of going to be our, we can see just how good you are, Braden. Now we're like, okay, well, hopefully one of the other guys can step up and match the kind of, production that Braden Smith gives. It sucks because that is, was such a, that if you were to say, hey, what's the one headline you're most looking forward to for Kentucky Purdue? It was Jaylen Lowe versus Braden Smith. Now that's kind of not ruled out, but definitely in question at absolute minimum. So it just sucks. The timing sucks. in terms of our own rooting interest as a selfish fan, but in terms of actual season expectations and what it means long term, probably not too much, assuming the returns are somewhat positive tomorrow. So very TBD, but we will have to unfortunately move on from that and focus on some of the other things. And we'll start and go kind of chronologically here. Phoenix Stevens, the women's team, started the event. Whole lot of stretching, lots and lots and lots of stretching. I don't know why for an event that started at 7 o'clock that we had to watch 30 minutes of stretching before we could get to a scrimmage. I know you had some thoughts about the kind of women versus men dynamic of the practice squad. Kenny Brooks said it was the best practice squad in college basketball. So your take on just the 20 minutes that we got of scrimmaging with the women.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally love scrimmaging against the men because who's here to watch the men's practice players? But in a sense, it's good to see this is what a Kentucky women's basketball practice looks like. Like you walk in the Joe Kraft Center, this is what you see, right? They're scrimmaging against, and I think these are former D2, D3 players. Like, they're not scrubs. They're not me. Like, they can actually hoop, right? And it's good to see, like, Toni Morgan, like, you're not going to take away too much from on the court, but Toni Morgan looked good. Clara Strack looked good, 10 points apiece. Like, I thought her shiftiness looked good. Kind of reminded me of Rob Dillingham. We're talking about some men's basketball, right? Like, I thought she looked really good. I think the main thing, you saw your starters of, which of course I've reported that this was likely to happen. Toni Morgan, Jordan Obi sliding up to the tube. You know, bigger two guard. Amelia Hassett, Tiani Key, and Clara Strack at the 5. And then, of course, looks like your top 8 of the rotation. You bring in Asia Boone's probably your 6th man, Josie Gilvin, and then Kaylin Carroll, and then Lexi Blue. That final 9th piece of the rotation. That's mainly all you can really take away from tonight. Of course, blue-white's always been traditionally a men's basketball event, but it's not necessarily we're just glad to be here. But it was good to just kind of see the women in this kind of capacity.
Yeah, 15 for the men's practice squad is a baller. I don't know who that guy is, but that dude can hoop.
He said, bro, this is about me tonight. I'm him. In front of, these are my fans, okay?
Make this about yourself. My time to shine.
The women's team did win, by the way. Make sure to add that in there.
That is true. The women's team won 43 to I don't know, we got yours. But yeah, women's team did win, so.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Again, it's you know exactly what to expect. Stephen Peak had some takes, and we've kind of come to the realization that this probably could just be one event. Like, we'll talk about the men and what the impact of that was, but when we're talking about the magnitude of Big Blue Madness and the minimitude, whatever the opposite of that is, whatever the opposite is for Blue White game, you just don't really feel like there was a need tonight. Like, you didn't leave today going, I'm fulfilled with everything that we saw. And we'll talk about like the length of time with the men. We got one tiny quarter and then somewhat of an Elam ending, and we called it a quits. Just, and I think that they were planning on making it go a little bit longer, maybe like do you guys want some more? And Larry, let's do another 5 minutes. I think they were planning on something, but I think when Jaylen Lowe goes down, they're like, all right, mood's gone. Let's just get the heck out of here. So I leave this event going, probably didn't need this. Probably could have combined this with Big Blue Madness. But hey, you live and you learn, and now we can focus on what's ahead. So let's transition a little bit back. Any final takes on what you saw out of the women's group or what's ahead here in the next couple days for them?
Not necessarily the women's group, but I wanted to get back to the men real quick. First of all, I thought Andrea Yelovich came in looked pretty good. Like, he threw in the dunk kind of in the with the Elam ending. That was interesting. But I guess to give a kind of women's basketball takeaway, right? Because that's what I'm here for, obviously. I really thought Kaylin Carroll came in and didn't look like she came in and didn't look nervous. Like, she was, you see, like Clara Silva, shout out to her. Like, last year came in and looked like a deer in the headlights. You didn't really see that from KK Carroll, top 15 freshman. So I think we can expect a lot out of her this year.
And they will need her down Dominika Perova.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't want to say like sources say because that's your thing. But what I've heard is I think with Dom going down, you're going to see Asia Boone. She's been practicing at Liberty. She played the 2 a lot. She was kind of practicing, not necessarily the backup 1, kind of that situation, I guess. But I think she's going to be playing a lot at the 2 now. You saw her kind of running alongside Toni Morgan at point guard, so that might be something to watch. She can shoot the ball really well. Didn't see that much tonight, but word out the practice facility.
We got dirt bikes going down with wheelies.
Wheelies, too.
Right here. Could you imagine?
And we had drunk sorority girls walking around, so that's Lexington for you on a, Friday night, Thursday? I don't know, who cares? It's a Friday. It's one of those nights, yeah. But, Kaylin Carroll looked really good.
Totally agree. Jada Roper,
yes.
the newest official. I like
reffing,
that. Yeah. I did like that, so shout out Jada Roper. All right, let's transition back into, you stole our, little Andrea Yelovich excitement there, but
I had to get in my part.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Zach, the non-Jaylen Lowe update, what were some of your hottest takeaways leaving the 35-26 win for the Blue?
Otega Owe was kind of on a minutes restriction, although it's hard to do a minutes restriction when it's a 12-minute game, but he was kind of limited. That was kind of the goal. Mark Pope said that, announced that to the crowd ahead of time. He had like a really nice left-handed, tough finish. I think he racked up a bunch of fouls, too, so he might have actually been in foul trouble in this game. But, this is his first week back at practice after a 10-week off, break from his turf toe injury, so I'm not really looking too much into his results, but Jasper Johnson hit 2 threes. Trent Noah hit 2 threes. Andrea Yelovich hit 2 threes. Mo Diabate pretty much, he had I think maybe 8 straight points, maybe even in that Elam ending. I think 6 straight. Steven was nodding. 6 maybe? 6 straight. So, yeah, Mo Diabate looked like a bully in the paint there as well. Didn't see too much from guys like Cam Williams, Colin Chandler, really. But, man, Jaylen Lowe really was looking good. Do you remember that pick and roll he had with Reese Potter where he dished it down?
I saw. I loved it, and it sucks. It does. It was really awesome. I really loved watching Jaylen Lowe tonight until he was screaming in pain on the ground.
He was hooping, man. Brandon Garrison, Malachi Moreno, they both looked solid, I thought. I didn't have, any, hot takes either way with either of them. Always throwing me off of my groove there. But, I thought Brandon Garrison, we'll have to go back and look everything over again, but Brandon Garrison I thought had a couple of really cool defensive plays that I remember off the top of my head. Malachi Moreno was really good on the glass. Reese Potter just looks bigger, and he's got to be taller than 7 foot, 7'1" or whatever. He's a monster out there. So easy for him to inhale rebounds. We'll see if that actually matters when the season starts with JQ still on the men there. Does he actually sneak into the rotation at all, anything like that? Probably not, but didn't see too much out of Braden Hawthorne. Who are other guys I'm missing? Anyone else? Aberdeen had a nice dunk. Yeah, Jaylen Lowe, his one bad play, he just telegraphed a pass across the court, which Aberdeen just picked off, went down, shut off that 42-inch vertical. That was fun. That's really all I can remember off the top of my head. It was the Elam ending. It was the whole second half, so it was first to 36, something like that, and it ended pretty fast after Jaylen Lowe got hurt.
Yeah, unfortunate the length, and again, I think they planned on longer, but just the circumstances stunk. But I did, so all offseason it was about where's the shooting coming from? You don't have Kobe Bryant, you don't have somebody who's just going to go knock down 7-8 threes. You got to see kind of spreading it thin, a lot of volume there, a lot of efficiency across the board. Trent Noah, Andrea Yelovich, Jasper, if everybody kind of getting their own little slice of the pie. Your thoughts on just the shooting in general and kind of the who stepped up the most from the perimeter?
Yeah, all those guys you mentioned really stepped up shooting the ball. Trent really started the game red hot from 3, and then you didn't even really have a great shooting night from a guy like Cam Williams, who can really add some 3-point value in the season. So I think there was so much talk this offseason about this is just not going to be as good of a shooting team as last year, but I think that they might have a little bit more options to shoot the ball than last year. They're not going to have a guy like Kobe Bryant who can just knock down every shot, but you have a lot of guys that can shoot from 3.
Yeah, it sucks. It really does suck because I thought I was planning on coming out and saying, hey, dude, the defense was amazing. They were so physical. It felt like, Zach, they were more competitive tonight than I've seen. Everybody was kind of complaining about how ugly the offense was, but it was all I could focus on was just how these dudes were diving them for loose balls and just getting after it on both ends. Mm-hmm. They were really, really fighting, and Mo Diabate was kind of patting himself on the back of the podium after. We're going, yeah, that's what we do. That is going to be our identity this season. And Zach, I will say, at the podium, they were in super great spirits, and Mo was super confident, saying, "Hey, we didn't, do enough on the losing side to win the game, but hey, the fight that you saw, that tenacity down the stretch when the Elam ending started, and I kind of put the team on my back. That's going to be a little glimpse into the future of what you're going to see." So, all things considered, I did love the fight. I love the physicality, and even if it kind of came at the expense of kind of an uglier offensive performance.
Hey, low scoring game. 36-20, or low scoring. So good defense all around, even though it was 12 minutes.
Basketball right
there.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Left some points for the football program tomorrow. Right?
If they
right?
score 36 points,
Right?
I'll kiss you. No, never mind. Sorry. But back to Jacob's point about, kind of both of y'all's points about the press conference. You asked Jasper Johnson about, the idea of filling into that role of point guard, say something happens with Jaylen Lowe long term. He said he felt comfortable with it. We have kind of no reason to believe that he hasn't been doing some of that stuff in practice already, kind of sliding into that maybe primary ball handler role. But back to your point about the effort. Like Mo Diabate, it all starts with him. Like the guy just loves diving on the ground, whether he's getting hit or doing the hitting. Kind of what I was talking about earlier with Brandon Garrison. I think he maybe lost it or got beat off the dribble or something and Malachi Marino had an opportunity for a clean layup. Brandon pins it against the glass. You're going the other way. Saw Brandon and Malachi sprinting up and down the floor all the time. So a lot of high effort, high energy guys, and you kind of have a roster that's built that way. So it makes sense that's kind of what their forte word. I'm trying to think of other. Yeah, we'll say forte. That's a close word. So it makes sense that you would actually see that product on the floor.
Shout out to Brandon Garrison, the only guy to show up on both sides of the box score for both teams. There you go.
Jersey swap, I guess.
Yeah, okay. It says he had played 37 seconds on one of the teams, so it was real quick.
A hell of a 37 seconds.
Impressive.
A couple of quick takeaways on my part. This might be a little bit of copium, but if Jaylen is out for any extended period of time, it is kind of the equivalent of the battle that we're seeing between Brandon Garrison and Malachi Marino with kind of the placeholder, knowing that we have Jaden Quaintz in our back pocket. I am kind of excited to see the cream rise to the top at the yes, and Reese Potter. Shout out Reese Potter. Reese played his ass off. I really enjoyed watching Reese Potter play, and for that to be your 13th, 14th man, get out of here. I mean, that's a lot of production, but it is a chance for Jasper Johnson to step up and say, hey, this is, I am the go-to guy if something were to happen with Jaylen Lowe. I remember feeling the same way last year when Lamont would go down or Kirk Kriisa went down. It was all right, who's going to step up? And you're just kind of waiting for that one guy, and it ended up being a by-committee thing. When Jackson goes down, that was a little too much dip on their chip last year. I like that there's a chance now for Colin to step up, for Denzel to step up, for Jasper. Somebody has to emerge as that go-to lead guard. But I got to say, I think Jasper's kind of finding his own footing and really hitting a groove, clicking. I've heard some great things about him behind the scenes, and kind of they're testing him out and saying hey, I know we brought you in to kind of be the off-ball catch and shoot guy. Hey, we're gonna score. You can be the microwave scorer, but let's see what you can do in that role. And now, hey, this is going to be your role against Purdue. Ready,
Braden Smith. Get ready, buddy.
Ready or not, here you come. So I did like that. Andrei Jelovich, I thought he looked way better than even at the pro day. Mark Pope joked about hey, the confidence that he had shooting tonight was a result of all those stair runs that I made him have. He has not been that confident shooting the ball that they've had to kind of instill that confidence in him to have the green light and fire away. So I loved his green light. I love how confident he was. He got the game winner. Shout out Andrei Jelovich. Mm-hmm. And same thing for Trent Noah. Trent Noah just, has that level of unconsciousness where when he has the ball and he's ready to fire it, there's no hesitation there. So you got to love seeing that. Can he be a Kobe Bryant level shooter, the guy that you say, hey, we need a shot, that's going to be our guy. I thought he showed some signs tonight in an event that traditionally has had very misleading results, but I don't think that's going to be one of them in the past. So any final takeaways before we shout out our friends at Friends of Cole?
Just Jasper is very confident. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that if you do have a situation where he has to slide in and take over some PG1 duties, or I do think you're probably going to see Colin and Denzel do a little bit of that as well. Colin was even told us at a press or a media day that he was doing a lot of point guard stuff during practice already. But I don't think any of those guys lack confidence, and that's really what it's going to that's what you need early in the season when you're going into these type of matchups. So just figure it out. It's only October. I know Steven hates the fact that it's October and we're already talking about Jaylen Lowe's shoulder, but it's only October. There's still plenty of season left.
All right.
It hasn't even started.
Can we get Annabelle out of Lexington, by the way?
Great call. Great.
You've already claimed Jaylen Lowe. Get the hell out of Lexington, please. Thank you.
Well, Adam Sandler, man, he was joking last night about the Achilles. He wasn't too far off, that son of a...
And that's why we don't talk about it. You don't speak that into existence. I love Ye Sandman, one of my all-time favorites. But shut up. You got to read the room here. You don't talk about injuries here in Lexington, and it's just very, very unfortunate. So get Adam Sandler out. I love you, but get the hell out of the city. And Annabelle, burn that thing. Just burn it, send it away, and never return, please.
Serious thing, though. Heading into the Purdue exhibition, it's obviously a very important game. Like, you're playing the number 1 team in the country heading into now it's more important with Jaylen out, and we've already hit on this, but, like, all right, Jasper, thank God this is an exhibition, because you're going to we're throwing you right into the fire, Braden Smith. Like, the Purdue exhibition just became even that much more important, because you got to play Louisville early in the season. By the way, Louisville fans, listen, JQ's out. If Jaylen Lowe's out, shut up. All right? Like, that's not an excuse for you to be triumphant. Like, all right, if you win, you're not going to, but if you do, shut up. All right? If we're healthy, we're kicking your ass. It's one of those things, like, the Purdue exhibition to me just got a lot more important. Got to see how Jasper does in that point guard spot.
We're putting all of us on the spot here. Again, educated guess based on what we saw, but also a total guess in terms of, like, we don't have any, like, know how the testing goes or tomorrow. So we could be totally wrong on this. I'm putting that caveat out. But on the spot, does Jaylen Lowe play against Louisville? Yes or no?
I mean, why be pessimistic, right? Hell yeah.
Louisville's far away. I thought you were going to say Purdue.
No.
Louisville's far away. I mean, yeah.
Less than a month.
Yeah, I'm going to say yeah.
Why be I mean, listen, this has been a pessimistic enough of a rapid reaction. Jack's been a sad puppy dog this entire time. Yeah, Jaylen Lowe, welcome back. We'll see you at the Louisville game, buddy.
We love that. We'll also see you with our friends of Cole, Friends of Cole, dedicated to informing and educating Kentucky citizens about the coal industry and its vital role in the state's future. We provide a united voice for an industry that has been and remains a critical economic contributor to Kentucky. By working together, we can provide good jobs and benefits for future generations. Coal is resilient, reliable, and affordable. Friends of Coal is a volunteer organization. All are invited to be a part of our organization, which consists of proud Kentuckians as well as residents from beyond our borders. Head to friendsofcoalkentucky.org to learn more. With that, we're going to hopefully not be locked out of this building. We have more work to do. Hopefully, we get a good update on Jaylen Lowe. Please pray to the basketball gods, and we'll see you next time. Go Cats.